morning, President Joe Biden introduced the $1.7 trillion human infrastructure bill framework that is woefully inadequate, so much so that it's even pissing off the liberals. In fact, here are some of the ladies on The View and their take.
I don't like this Medicare expansion to cover dental and vision is cut out.
Yeah.
It's like as if the eyes and teeth of old people are not part of the body. We're all going to feel like this, you know?
Yeah.
It's not, I don't get that. I don't even understand why health insurance doesn't include eye glasses and hearing and teeth. It's like, are we disembodied from these things?
Apparently.
Yeah. And then the other thing that bothers me, and I'm sure everybody would agree with this, the paid family leave.
Yeah.
I mean, we're supposed to be the party of families. Obviously, the Republican Party doesn't give a rat's patootie about the families, or they would be behind bills like this, but they're not. So all you have are the Democrats, and the Democrats are now falling short.
This should be a right.
Yeah.
They've paid taxes all their lives.
Of course.
You know, they have paid into the system, you know, and now they say, well, I don't know how much money there's going to be for Social Security. Well, I don't know how much. Well, what? Like, could you stop taking our money and doing stuff with it and leave a little for us?
Yeah. It's
Just a little bit.
And I think what was so surprising is, you know, as a society, we should be taking care of our most vulnerable, and those are our children and our elders. And we're not doing that.
Whoa. Look, all that is pretty much true. So let me just kind of expand on that, right? Yes, it is kind of crazy that insurance doesn't cover eyeballs and teeth. I mean, in fact, teeth in our system, teeth are considered luxury bones. Even though, of course, oral health is incredibly important to your health in general. If only these ladies would take it just a little bit step further and say that it's, hey, you know what else is crazy? Privatizing health insurance. Having private health insurance that is unaffordable for millions of Americans, even Americans that have insurance that actually can't use it. Weird. Yeah, I know. Like, why don't we think about that? And maybe do something like Medicare for all, which would be super important, right? But no. The Democratic Party is nowhere near that. That said, paid leave. And I mentioned paid leave, right? Paid leave, another important issue. We're the only developed country that doesn't have paid leave. No guaranteed paid leave. You squeeze that baby out and you get your ass back to work. Get back in the mines. You don't need paid leave. That means it comes out of my pocket. I need my profits. They're all like freaking Ferengi. Now, so, all right. I have another video here. And this is Ana Navarro. Now, Ana Navarro, understand that this is a lib show and they have lib talking points. So understand, like, they're going to go through and they're going to be like, oh, Biden did the best that he could. And, you know, oh, but, you know, he just came up short in his mansion and cinema. Okay. So before I get to that, I want to show you Navarro talking about what she is mad about them cutting. And then Sarah Haynes is also going to talk about some stuff. So let's go to that video and then kind of break it down afterwards.
For me, it pains my heart that free community college got cut off, because I know so many people who got their start in lives in community colleges, and education is the way out. It's the ticket out. It's the ticket to opportunity that America provides, and a lot of people need the help when it comes to community college.
That's why we're not getting it.
That one, you know, was very painful to me, but I also celebrate that there's a deal.
I'm really disappointed in the paid family leave. That was something that I just, again, think it's a great equalizer. There are so many people that just can't afford to take that time off when they have new family members or bereavement. But the part that I just can't get past, which just so clearly speaks to the money in DC and the problems we have, are the prescription drug pricing. Who cannot agree that we should allow them to negotiate a better rate?
You know what? That's a real good question. Good question. But first, let me address community college. Community college, look, student debt is abhorrent. It shouldn't exist. Flat out. There's no reason that anybody should have to take out hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans to get an education. That's insane. And we're one of the few countries that actually still has that system because guess what? People make a lot of money. The Department of Education makes money. The student loan servicers make money. Joe Biden could unilaterally cancel student debt today. Is he going to do that? Of course not. He hasn't done it already. It was never his priority, and he never will do it. So, but again, all right, free community college would have been a small but necessary step to kind of show people what it would be like if we actually made four-year public colleges tuition free. Now, Whoopi Goldberg points out, well, they don't want that. Or they don't want people to be educated. Fair point. That's true. So now, I also do think that the most interesting part was what Sarah Haynes started saying, why are people against prescription drug reform? Who would be against that? And then, of course, she has the answer.
And the only explanation here, I don't need to go to D.C. and find out, is there is money going in pockets right now.
Yeah, of course.
And that is the only reason. And speaking of that, Cinema received more than $750,000 in donations from the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. And Big Pharma's explanation for why now is not the time is with their efforts to swiftly develop vaccines, this isn't the time to regulate us. But right now we're talking about Medicare being able to get fair prices on prescription. And the other thing I don't understand is this pushback on a billionaire tax.
Right.
This is, as you said, 700 people in the country. There are 700 billionaires. You take a fraction of a percentage and they could solve problems in this country, and we're protecting them as we don't want to hamper success.
It would be nice.
They're beyond successful.
It would be nice that instead of spending billions going to space, maybe we would spend it, those billionaires could spend it on Earth to give equal opportunity to a country that gave them the opportunity to become billionaires.
Absolutely.
And
I'm sorry. I get, that you come to this country or you're born here and you work yourself up and you're able to work into an amazing place.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. Either take some of that or take some of the personal gain.
Yeah.
But you can't keep all of it because you're not paying any taxes at all. If you took from their personal gain.
Yes.
Yeah.
We could take care of all of the stuff we are moaning about
I agree.
right now.
I agree.
That's what we're asking for. We're asking for an equal playing field. You tell me that the way to make America better is to have educated constituents, educated
Maybe they don't
people.
want that. Maybe
well, that's what I'm
they don't
saying.
want us to be too smart because then we'll look into
Well,
things.
Trump famously.
Look at that. Well, then, it is very rare that the ladies of The View have a good take. What happened? Did we radicalize the libs? Is that what happened? Interesting. And again, right there, they're just saying tax the rich, paid family leave. Yes, free college. You get a Republican to say, yes, we should have free 2-year community college because education is good. Holy shit. He even talked about Cinema's donors in the pharmaceutical industry and shot down, as you just saw, shot down the bullshit reason that the pharmaceutical companies refuse to allow Medicare to negotiate prices. Oh no, our vaccines and our R&D, and we just can't afford to do that. Bullshit. And then of course Behar saying maybe they don't want us smart, because then we're going to look into things. You know what I'm saying? Like the donors and the lobbyists and how the system really works and shuts people out. Now, again, the reason I'm surprised here is because this is a very lib show with very lib takes. And oftentimes they tend to have been more aggressive against progressives. But in this case, so far, they're actually saying, no, it's Manchin and Sinema, the Democrats, that are not delivering and that are the problem. And I think that is really interesting. And again, understand that all the stuff that was in the $3.5 trillion package, progressives have been fighting for. Now, of course, progressives, we want to go further. We want to go, Medicare for all. We want free 4-year tuition, free, college at public universities, right? Education. We want even better stuff. We want the things like the Green New Deal. But, well, also, if there's a pretty good bill, then yes, of course, we're going to work to pass that. And then we're going to go further. I'm going to expand on it. That's what progressives are trying to do. That's why progressives have actually been fighting for the Build Back Better, right? More so than I would say Joe Biden. And so, of course, you know, when, and I didn't show this video, this part of the conversation, but of course they get into, I think it was Navarro. It's like, oh, well, Biden was fighting so hard for this and he was going to meetings. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And Sonny Hostin also agreed with that. I would say no, he didn't go to Arizona. He didn't go to West Virginia. He didn't threaten the money, you know, for Joe Manchin. He didn't do any of that stuff. He sat, you know, oh, he had a few conversations behind the scenes and then essentially said, well, I guess you win. You're the president now. Good job. Like, here you go. We're just going to take this down from $3.5 trillion, which was the compromise, to 1.75. Pretty close. See, compromise. Wonderful. Bad lib takes aside, though. The conversation is actually one of the better ones I've heard on The View. It's amazing what happens when Meghan McCain leaves. It's like the entire IQ of the room increased. But again, if they're saying this stuff on The View, talking about cinema taking corporate money and pushing back against the industry talking points, then I think we might have, at least momentarily, a little bit of a breakthrough. It ain't much, but it's a little bit. And understand that, like, think of it this way, okay? Joe Biden is a great opportunity to show people that voting for the Democratic Party is not by itself going to improve the material conditions of your lives. Okay? So this is what's happening. People voted for Joe Biden. They thought that's all they had to do, get rid of Orange Man bad, and then everything was going to be great. We're going to go back to status quo. But not only that, we're going to get some great things with Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the Democrats are in charge. Finally, the adults are in the room. And nothing happened. So it kind of shows how relying on electoral politics alone is a literal dead end. And that's understand, right? Okay, look at it this way. So now Denmark, I know it's weird that I bring up Denmark, but just roll with me on this one, right? So Denmark doesn't have a minimum wage. And what does that have to do with this conversation? Well, it's because, and the reason they don't have a minimum wage, and yet they have average wages of $22 an hour. Well, now how is that possible? Because you have a strong labor movement that doesn't rely on politicians. They don't need it. And so let me go to Ida Auken, who is a social democrat and a member of the Danish parliament, who explained this in the Washington Post, how Denmark works. They said the Danish model is a decentralized system in which pay and working conditions are established by collective bargaining agreements between trade unions and employer organizations. Our unions are strong, mostly because employers and employees both gain from the relationship. If labor agreements are not respected, workers have the right to go on strike. Conversely, the employers have the right to lock out workers. The state interferes only if negotiations break down, in which they rarely do. Their social safety net includes universal health insurance, so basically like a Medicare for all system, paid sick leave, something again we don't have in the United States, and a collective bargaining agreements generally include paid maternity leave and a pension plan as well as good wages. So understand that this is not achieved by relying on politicians and electoral politics alone. Now, in the United States, electoral politics is deeply corrupted by money from industry. So the reason that they are able to get these things, and the only way that I can see us getting some of these things, is labor, is through the power of labor. And so we need labor unions, we need labor power, we need a resurgence, a revitalization of workers' rights and solidarity, okay? Because understand that no politician, even if they have good intentions, right? No politician alone has the ability to save us or change the system. Obviously, this is the evidence of that, okay? All the provisions that were stripped out had massive approval among the wide electorate of the country. This really does show you an example of how, popular something is among the American people and how much they like something and want something to get passed. It doesn't get passed if the elites are not in favor of it. Okay? So again, we had 2 senators that effectively blocked the deal. It actually would have only taken 1 in our system. And yet, the reason that I don't go out of my way to mention the Republicans here, because I know a lot of you are asking about this, but there are 50 Republicans that were totally against this. Why blame the 2 Democrats? Well, understand that Republicans are 100% open about their intentions. They're never going to vote for something like this. Why? Well, for one, it hurts their donors. Some of the same donors that give to Democrats. 2, they don't actually care about helping regular working people. And C, it's all political, of course. That would get Biden a win, something to run on in 2024, and Democrats for something to run on in 2022 in the midterms. And so if Republicans, see, they know that if they give that win, they might actually go and do better because people's lives will become materially better. So they think we can't do that. Now, the other interesting thing to compare this with that kind of really shows their intentions, you remember back when the economy started crashing during coronavirus. So during that time, Republicans were in a rush to hand out free money. That's where the first stimulus was. I should say the first stimulus package that went to regular people. The first one actually went to gigantic corporations, and then you had trillions of dollars that were given freely to the banks and in additional liquidity. But then for the American people, the Republicans said, and Trump were like, well, business is not doing well. We already gave them a shitload of money. What can we do? Oh, right, stimulus. Let's just give them money. Just cut them a bunch of checks. Let's go. You know why? Because it was beneficial for them. They understand that putting money into the hands of the American people is actually incredibly popular. Now, again, they don't like to do it because corporate donors. But they still did it because those donors were like, hey, our businesses are not doing well. They need people with money to go and spend that money. Now, the Democrats were unable to do that. The Democrats have been unable to help, make living conditions and working conditions better for the working class. And they're doing this with the help of Manchin and Sinema, as well as Republicans who understand that if you allow this win to get on the board, then they're not going to be able to get elected or put back into power. So, and now, again, here's the thing. I would think that would be fairly obvious to people that are asking why I'm only talking about the Democrats, but understand that corporate Democrats like Manchin and Sinema are part of the problem. Now, the rest of the problem, of course, is our corrupted system of money and politics, lobbying, and corruption. So now, the Washington Post, as I mentioned before, reported that Pelosi, let's talk about the billionaire's tax for a second. Pelosi was against the billionaire's tax on unrealized gains. One Democratic aide told Greg Sargent that Pelosi had pronounced this billionaire's tax as nothing more than a PR stunt that wouldn't accomplish anything. The aide said, quote, Pelosi absolutely destroyed it. Representative Richard Neal also questioned whether this billionaire's tax would hold up in court, which, as Sargent writes in the Washington Post, that would dovetail with Pelosi's private opposition, and both of them working together suggest there may be plenty of other House Democrats privately opposed. And that says nothing about the Senate, in which, of course, you also have corporate Democrats in the Senate that hold a lot of power and could, again, block this. But why would you need to come out and risk your neck and risk your election, in places like Delaware or Connecticut or whatever, when you have someone like Joe Manchin, who's the fall guy? Because Joe Manchin is not in trouble. Electorally, he'll get reelected very, very easily. So it's very easy for Joe Manchin to be a fall guy. And for Kyrsten Sinema, well, she doesn't care if she gets reelected. She doesn't talk to her constituents. They literally have to chase her down. And she still doesn't want to talk to them. She is not interested in running for another election. No, she's going to have a cushy job in probably a pharmaceutical industry or as a lobbyist. She doesn't care. So she has no problem being the fall person. And so that's I mean, that's the unfortunate reality of this. And so, as Sargent writes, other Senate Democrats appear to oppose the proposal but don't want to say it openly. After all, it's not easy to come down on the side of protecting the wealth of billionaires. How many billionaires are in West Virginia, by the way? None. Yet, for some reason, Joe Manchin is really concerned about billionaires, about taxing billionaires. Like, I don't want to do it. Oh, I don't want to punish the billionaires. Well, those are not your constituents. He's doing it on not only on behalf of the donors, but also on behalf of other corporate Democrats who don't want to lose their primaries. That would make Manchin a rotating villain, along with the parliamentarian, Kirsten Sinema, etc. Those are the people that tell us, on behalf of the donors and their flunkies, they're the public face of the people who tell us that we can't have nice things or reasonable things like lower drug prices or even paid leave. That's what's really going on. The system is the problem. We need to get together and unionize, come together in worker solidarity and gain power. If we gain enough power, we can shut down the system until we get what we want. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.